that I've had on my show, my previous show, and I'm performing again tomorrow night, my second show. And the people on the ship have really been great and wonderful and willing to have a chat and engage. So I like to try and give back if I can. I'm not here to sell you DVDs or CDs of my work. I'm here to give you a take-home skill that you can hopefully use in your day-to-day life to remember names and faces of people, or to remember tasks in your daily life, or anything that you need to remember, and to show you how to do that. So that's the purpose of this. I see some people forgot to arrive at this lesson. No, I'm not picking on you, ma'am. I'm saying the rest of the ship. Everybody, so many people said to me, "Oh, we'll be here," but they're busy learning Afrikaans at the moment. So good luck to them. Hopefully they'll remember to be here in a while. But just a little bit about me and about what I do. So I started my life as a magician, basically. And I did the same show over and over and over again. And performing as a magician was boring for me, because I thought the equipment does a lot of the work for you. There's secret compartments and there are trapdoors and there's this and there's that. And every show works exactly the same. And I found it was very unstimulating to perform the same show over and over again. And I got into mentalism. We actually had a visiting mentalist from the States who came out to South Africa about 30 years ago. And I met him and I thought to myself, I didn't understand what he was doing. He got people to pick out books and they open a book on a random page, and he told everybody what was written on that page. And he did the most amazing things. And I thought, I have no idea how he's doing this, but I need to learn it. And I started to read books on psychology. I started to develop techniques, mathematics and memory. My background is actually actuarial science and statistics. People have asked me, what is your background? I studied actuarial science. I couldn't work as an actuary because I'm a people's person. I found it very, very boring to sit behind a desk in an office. And statistics. I've got a master's degree in statistics. I use a lot of probability in my events and in my shows. But I've developed a whole lot of unique techniques and routines to put shows together and to show people what can be done with the power of the mind. And in South Africa particularly, I travel around to lots and lots of different schools. In fact, when I get back, our academic year runs according to the calendar years. So at the moment, our students are writing exams and they go on a long summer holiday. And in January, our schools start again. So from January, I'll be traveling around to various schools showing learners and students how to memorize their work for exams. And that's what I do a lot of as well, and I find that people really enjoy that. So I put together a course and the basic techniques for how to remember things in your day-to-day life, which I'm going to show you a couple of things now that you can use so you can remember names of people on the ship, people that you meet, and tasks in your day-to-day life as well. I'd like to just initially, just to set a context, show you one or two memory demonstrations. Now, you saw in my show the other night, those of you who saw the show, how it's possible to memorize an entire shuffled pack of cards in about, 9-10 seconds, depending on which show you saw. I'm not going to do that for you again, because I think you've seen it already. But what I like to do on international cruise ships is get people to name countries, random countries from all over the world. And you people seem very well traveled, so I'm sure you're going to give me some fairly innovative countries. Because normally I work with international audiences and I say to people, where are you from? And they say, I'm from the UK, or I'm from Sweden, or I'm from here or there, or whatever. And I tell them a little bit of information about their country, purely from memory. So let's try something a bit different. Just somebody call out any random country in the world, but it needs to be an independent country. So don't name, for example, Hong Kong or Madeira or something like that. It has to be an independent country. Can I get one? Sorry, ma'am? Sir? Singapore. Okay, Singapore. We'll go with Singapore. So all I'm going to try and tell you is what the flag looks like, what the capital looks like, and roughly where it's located in the world. Okay, Singapore, obviously in the Far East, it's on the tip of the Malaysian Peninsula. The flag is red and white. It has a red stripe and then a white stripe underneath. It's partially Muslim country, so it has the crescent moon with 5 little stars in a circle, and the capital is Singapore as well. You can check. You're welcome to look this up. It sounds like you people know that already. Yes, ma'am. Venezuela. Okay, Venezuela, capital Caracas. It's on the northern part of South America. The flag is 3 different colored bands. In fact, a lot of the South American flags have the same colors, yellow, blue, and red. And it has a band almost like an arch of white stars that goes across. Looks almost like a rainbow in the Venezuelan flag. So that's Venezuela for you. Let's try one more. I thought somebody would give me something a little bit out the box. Turkmenistan is actually a very interesting flag. If you get a chance, look it up. It's green, and it has almost like a carpet. It looks like a Persian carpet on the left-hand side. It's red and yellow and all the different colors. It also has the crescent moon and some white stars. And I always get mixed up between Turkmenistan and Tajikistan. One of them is, the capital's Ashgabat, and one of them is Dushanbe. And I can never remember which way around it is. So Ashgabat, yeah, okay, perfect. There we go. Let's do one more quickly. Croatia. So you had one at the back. I think you had your hand up. Give me yours as well. Nepal. Did you say Cambodia? All right, so Nepal, Cambodia, and Croatia. All right. Cambodia, I've got a very interesting story in Cambodia. I went for a swim in the sea in Cambodia and my glasses fell off and I couldn't see anything for the rest of the cruise. So Cambodia has very, very interesting memories for me. Let's start with, you said Croatia? A lot of the countries that are former Yugoslav republics have got the same colors in their flag, so blue, red, and white. Croatia, capital obviously Zagreb. And it is... To describe it, I always remember with Croatia, in a line in Europe, it goes CBS. I remember CBS. Croatia almost looks like a C, the shape of it. It has this tiny little part on the coast, and then B is Bosnia, which is on the inside, and S is Serbia. So it sort of goes in a line. Nepal is one of the very few countries in the world that doesn't have a rectangular flag. It actually has two triangles in the flag with a crescent moon and a star. Capital is Kathmandu. Nepal, obviously famous for the Himalayas. Few people know that. On the sort of almost Central Asia, a little bit above, I'd say located slightly southwest of Mongolia, in a little strip demarcating Nepal. And sorry, I've got a very bad memory. So your country was? I'm sorry? Cambodia. Okay, Cambodia, obviously famous for Angkor Wat. And Angkor Wat is a big, big tourist attraction. It's in the middle of the flag. So the flag is blue and red with bands, and it has the picture of Angkor Wat, which is its big site, right in the middle of the flag of Cambodia. Let me get into something else, and then I'll start teaching you some things. People asked me the other night, a lot of people came up to me and said, what was the purpose of that video? That video that we showed for 10 minutes, what was the purpose of it, and why did you show the whole video, and how does it work? So just to put it in context, in 2019, actually in 2018, I had somebody come up to me and say to me, why don't you do the pie challenge? And I said to them, what is the pie challenge? And the pie challenge is something that happens every single year on Pi Day. Pi Day, pi being the number pi starting 3.14. So Pi Day is the 14th of March, the third month, the 14th day. In South Africa, we do it differently. We do the day first and then the month. But internationally, it's the month first, as you people would do, and then the day. So 14th of March, or March the 14th, every single year is Pi Day. And what happens is they have competitions. People all over the world have a chance to try and recite as many digits of pi as possible. And there's don't ask me why. Obviously, these people are very, very bored. But that's what they do in their day-to-day life. And they're competitions, and you break a South African record or an African record or whatever country you're in, that record. And at the time, the South African record was 1,200 digits. And I thought, okay, if I sit down for a while and try and memorize it, I think I can manage 1,500 digits. But the main thing is the speed. It took, at that stage, the world record for speed was about 32 minutes. To say 1,200 digits, 32 minutes. And I thought, I can actually speak quite quickly, as you probably can tell. I've got a background also as a broadcaster. I work a lot in television and radio, particularly for sport. That's my other job. So I do talk fairly quickly, and people have told me I enunciate quite clearly. So I thought, let me give it a go. So I started to do that and started to learn it, and I pushed it to 1,500 digits. And I'll do the first 100 for you in a moment, because even though I know some of you have seen it on the video, it's nice people like to see it live. So I'll just do the first 100 for you in a moment. It takes 14 seconds. We'll do it in a short while. But then COVID kicked in. In 2020, I wanted to break my record, and COVID started. And COVID started with us in March 2020, and I never got a chance to break it. And 2021 again. And then 2022, this year, on Pi Day, I thought, you know what, let me give it a go. And I sat down and I pushed it to 2,000 digits, and I had to try and remember them in 5 minutes and 29 seconds. And as you probably saw in the video the other night, I did it in 5 minutes, 12 seconds, which is about 7 digits per second. But the tricky thing is you have to get your breathing right, because you can't pause. Every time you pause, you're taking a second out of time.
Yeah.
And a second is valuable when you are trying to break world records. You actually have to time your breathing at natural points in the sequence. And there's no pattern. You just have to learn these numbers and go through them and say them over and over again. So people have said to me, what technique do you use to memorize numbers? I'll show you part of that in a moment in the rest of my talk. But essentially what I do is I use different parts of the brain. So I would record it on my phone, and then I would play it back. And when I'm driving in my car, I would listen to it over and over and over again. And if there's a part of the sequence I don't understand, I would play it again and again and again and try and say it according to that speed. Then I put it on a slightly faster speed and go over it again and again and again and again and say it hundreds and hundreds of times. Because the key thing you're going to learn with memory is repetition is the mother of skill. I love that saying because it's so, so true. Repetition is the mother of skill. I'll repeat that again. Repetition is the mother of skill. So if you want to lock something into your brain, you need to repeat it over and over and over again. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. So those of you who have phones here, if you want to call it up on your phone, if you do have data you don't mind using, you can follow along with me. You can just type in first 100 digits of pi. You can Google that, and I'll give you a chance to call it up on your phones, and then I'll just do the first 100 for you. I'm not going to do 2,000, don't worry. Just to show you how it works and how you have to talk and breathe in a controlled manner to be able to get everything working properly in order to break the record. So if you do have it in front of you, fantastic. Just by the way, on that note, those of you who are coming to my show tomorrow, I'd like you all to participate in my opening routine that I'm doing for you tomorrow night. You can do from your seats, people sitting upstairs and downstairs. You can all do this from your seats, but I'd like you to bring along a calculator. It will be in the program tonight, so I have asked the office to put it in the program. But if you do have your phones and it does have a calculator on it, please bring a calculator along with you tomorrow night so you can play along and see what happens. Otherwise, you're just sitting watching other people and it's going to be pretty meaningless to you. So please remember, if you are coming to the show, 7 o'clock or 9 o'clock tomorrow night, just bring a calculator with you. All right, let me do the first 100 for you, and then I'll get into teaching you how you can learn some of these skills as well. And please don't say to me, people have said to me, but I'm old. You're not old. I can't remember. I've got a terrible memory. If you program your mind to believe that you have a terrible memory, you will have a terrible memory.
Yeah.
Because you're convincing yourself, you're setting yourself up to fail. I'm telling you, I've taught 5-year-old school kids to do the most amazing things with their brain. I've taught people 75 and 80-year-olds to remember hands of cards when they're playing bridge. I've taught people to do amazing things. You've got to believe that you can do it, and trust me, you can do it. You just need to learn the techniques.
Yeah.
And that's what I'll be showing you today. So let's do the first 100 quickly. If you have it in front of you, can I just see who is following along? Anybody have it? Okay, a few of you. Excellent. So we'll start. Now you can time me. I'll do it. It'll take me. I'm out of practice. I haven't done this since Pi Day, so about 8-9 months. So just give you a bit of time, but I'll try to do it in about 14-15 seconds. All right, we can start now. 3.14159265358979323846264 333279582893971693937510582974994 459237816468862 899862803482534211767. That's 100. Thank you. And you'll notice that I don't say 0, I say O, because it saves a few seconds. And the only number that is a two-syllable number is 7. And at one stage in the sequence, it goes 7, 7, 7, 7. And that's a very slow part for me. But I used to say 0 when I first learned it. And I realized if I say O, I can cut a few seconds off my time. So that's the reason that I do that. I'll give you a chance at the end to ask me any questions, if any of you want to ask questions, or you're welcome to approach me. I'm very approachable. South Africans are very friendly people by nature. We have a lot of problems in our country, many, many massive problems, but one of them is not the friendliness of people. And I think I'm very excited that you're getting a chance over the next few days to see Durban and especially Cape Town and see part of the country. And you'll see that you can approach South Africans in the street. They will help you. They're very, very willing. They're very engaging people. So please feel free, if you get a chance to come, you want to have a chat to me on the ship, come up to me and say hello and have a chat, introduce yourselves, ask me anything you want to. It's absolutely fun. I'm staying till Durban, unfortunately. I'm getting off in 2 days' time because I have other work I have to do back home. But hopefully the skills I'm going to teach you today will last you for a long time, and you'll be able to use them and think back to this experience and remember them and just keep practicing. So, how do you remember various things? The tools for memory, the most important thing, as I said to you, is repetition. You need to be able to revise something and repeat it and lock it in over and over and over again. If you hear something once, you will probably forget it. I say forget in inverted commas because you can't really forget anything, but you will dismiss it from your mind within seconds. If you make a conscious effort to remember something, if somebody introduces themselves to you and you want to remember their name, make a conscious effort to lock it in and then repeat it over and over again in your mind and to them in person. And I'll show you in a moment how to do that. We'll do a little exercise with memory. Let me start off with this. I'm going to call out for you 15 items. This actually comes from the American Institute of Memory. It's a list by memory expert Harry Lorraine, whom some of you might have heard of. He's a very, very famous memory expert in America. He's also a magician, and he does the most amazing things with memory. He can actually go around and tell everybody in the audience their names and sometimes their ages and facts about them. It's just incredible, and he's a big inspiration to me. So this list comes out of his book that the American Institute of Memory also uses. I'm going to call out 15 items. Don't try and write them down. Just listen to them subconsciously and see what you can retain. Okay. Book, ashtray, cowl, coat, match, razor, apple, purse or wallet, Venetian blinds, frying pan, clock, glasses, doorknob, bottle, worms. Strange list, some very unusual items, very common items, deliberately set up to test different aspects of the brain. So let me ask you a question now. If I were to say to you collectively as an audience, and you're very, very nice people, you're very engaging people, work together and tell me what's the first item I called out for you. Okay, and if I said to you, put money on it, you'd all be confident that book was the first item. Excellent. Second one. Okay, ashtray is correct. Then?
Cow.
Right, cow is correct. Then? Okay, notice how it starts getting very much softer. And what happens is when I do this talk, and when I do it at schools particularly, everybody's very confident at the beginning. What's the first item? Book! And they're all shouting out book, and everybody's so excited that they can remember book. And then I get onto ashtray, and they remember ashtray. Then we get to cow. By the time we get to coats, you people have decided, correct me if I'm right or wrong, I've been doing this for so many years, so I know. You've decided in your mind, this is too much information. Too much to remember. Don't confuse me with coats and apple and all these other things. I don't want to forget what I already know. So I'm calling out items, you're not even listening. And you're going in your mind, book, ashtray, cow, and I'm calling out all sorts of other things. And then I'll say something unusual. Venetian blinds. And you go, huh? Because Venetian blinds is unusual. We remember unusual events. If I say to you, what happened on your birthday earlier this year, whenever it was, maybe it was in February or March or April, who knows when, you can remember what you did on your birthday. But if I say to you, what did you have for lunch last week? You probably can't remember unless you have the same lunch every day on the ship. You probably can't remember because it's a common event. You gloss over common things that happen. You focus on unusual events, painful events, events that stand out to you. So if I say something that's unusual, it wakes up your brain, and your brain goes, hang on a second. Venetian blinds, I wasn't expecting that. And you start thinking, why is it called Venetian blinds? And then I'll call out common items, and you'll skip over those. What's the final item I called out? Worms. You see, it's got a negative connotation, so you remember it because of that. So let me show you how easy it is to remember this entire list. At the moment, if I were to ask collectively people in the room to call out as many items as they remember, in or out of order, the chances are that you will collectively leave out 2 or 3 of the items that I called out. You won't even remember that I said them. I'm going to now, if you do have a pen and paper in front of you, or you want to type it into your phones, or however you want to remember, that's absolutely fine. I will give you some contact details afterwards. I've got a business page on Facebook, and I put up some brain exercises every day. I schedule them for this week because obviously I'm traveling with you people, but on Sunday I'm going home. And every day from Monday to Friday, I put up some brain exercises for you just to keep your brain working. I have some videos, little tips for memory, motivational things that you can use. So if you're interested, I'll share that with you at the end of the talk. But the rules for memory are as follows. We're going to work with pictures. Now, I know when I say that, some people get very disappointed because people think, I'm not creative, I can't form pictures. Memory works with pictures. Let me just explain what I mean. And you've seen in my shows, the other night we had various people come up here, a lady who was the retired hospital nurse who might be in the audience, or another lady with a nickname, and they were forming things with pictures, and I was able to pick up, based on the way their eyes were moving, what picture they might have been forming, and that helped me to try and reveal what they were thinking of. Our brains work in pictures, whether we like it or not. Let me just give you a quick example. If I were to give you the following sentence, and I said to you, a man walked down the street and walked past a house, and in the garden was a little old lady doing gardening. Your brain is not going, M-A-N-W-A-L-K-E-D. You're not seeing letters on a page. You're picturing this man walking down the street, and you're probably picturing a man that you're familiar with, or somebody that you've read about, somebody in your subconscious mind. And if I say to you, what is the man wearing? Is he dressed smartly, or is he in a t-shirt and shorts? You can tell me. What time of the day is it? What side of the street is the house on? What does the lady look like? What is she doing? What is she wearing? Is it raining? Is it sunny? All these things your brain fills in for you automatically. You form pictures subconsciously without realizing it. So what I'm going to show you are techniques for forming pictures. There are 3 rules for trying to remember anything. These are objects, list of words, names. 3 rules that you need. Rule number 1. First rule is make your pictures as illogical as possible. Now that might sound like a very silly thing to say. What I mean by that is don't make it logical. If I say to you, picture a book, do not picture a book on a bookshelf in the library on the ship. You will forget that in seconds because it's a common thing. Your brain will gloss over it. Imagine that you're having a talk with somebody and you have a bit of an argument with them and you pick up a book and start throwing books at them. And they start throwing books back at you. Because of the fact that you don't normally do that with a book, it will stick in your brain for a lot longer. So make the items, make the pictures illogical. As illogical as you possibly can.
Okay.
That's the first thing. Second thing, action. Action is the glue that helps your memory to focus and to function. Action is extremely important. So try and get action in your pictures. Don't picture a book on a table. Don't picture a chair in a room that's not moving. Picture people throwing chairs at each other, books falling out of the sky. The more action you can introduce, the more it gives your brain clues to be able to retain information. And the final thing is make the items personal to you. So try and get items that mean something to you. So if I say to you, think of a book, I want you to think of a book that you are reading or a book that you are familiar with. Don't picture a book that you've never seen before. It's something that is familiar to you, something that has some meaning for you. And in that way, you're helping your brain to retain as much information as possible. So let's do this together with the first few items in the list, and I'll show you how easy it is to go forwards and backwards and how impossible it is to forget. You cannot forget. Once you lock these pictures into your brain, they are there for as long as you want them to be there. So let's start the process. I want you to think of yourselves. You can close your eyes if you want to. Just picture yourself. And picture yourself doing something unusual with a book, because book is the first item. So picture yourself playing tennis, and instead of using a tennis racket, you're hitting the ball with a book. Or you're throwing books at people. Or books are falling out of the sky and hitting you on the head. Or you're eating a book instead of eating food. Something unusual with a book. Just get that picture in your mind right now. Okay?
Okay.
Excellent. Good. And try and get as much action into your pictures as possible. You people will all have different pictures based on your own experience, so just picture a book. The next link is ashtray. If you smoke, or somebody in your family smokes, try and get that into the picture, an ashtray that you're familiar with at home. If you don't have anybody around you who smokes, then just imagine an ashtray. But now we're going to link ashtray with book. So once we're thinking of a book, we need something to clue us that the next item is an ashtray. So the way we do that is you imagine a link between ashtray and book. And again, action and illogical. So imagine you're reading a book and you open the book and suddenly an ashtray falls out of the book and starts shattering on the floor. That's illogical. It doesn't make sense, and there's action. You're linking book with ashtray. Or you're reading an ashtray. The ashtray has pages. You're actually reading the ashtray instead of reading a book. It doesn't make sense. But the moment you think of an ashtray or you think of book, there'll be pages. Pages will link you to ashtray straight away, so you will remember an ashtray. Or you're reading a book and somebody's smoking and putting their cigarettes out in your book instead of in an ashtray. Get a link. Book, ashtray. Okay, we'll do a few more. Ashtray and cow. Now this is a bit more difficult because you don't all have personal cows that you know in your day-to-day life, so you need to use a bit of imagination. So picture an ashtray in the shape of a cow. Or you are milking an ashtray. Or there's a cow smoking and putting cigarettes out in an ashtray. It's a ridiculous image. Make your images as ridiculous as possible. Ashtray, cow. And get a link. Lock that picture into your brain. Close your eyes for a few seconds and get a link between somehow picturing an ashtray and a cow. Okay? Excellent. Let's go on. Cow and coat. So imagine an expensive coat that you have, maybe a coat you brought with you on the cruise, maybe for formal nights or something like that, and a cow bursts into your home or bursts into your stateroom and puts on this coat and runs off with your coat. And you're thinking, this is terrible. I bought this expensive coat and this cow's run off with my coat. Or you put on the coat and the coat goes, moo. Use imagination, bear with me. So cow, coat, some sort of link. Or you've got a coat with pictures of cows all over it. Or you're milking a coat instead of milking a cow. Anything that will link the one to the other. So try that now. Okay, cow and coat. We'll do a few more. Coat and match. Now for match, you can picture matches that you light. You light matches, or a sports match or some other match. Let's go with matches that you light. Okay, I saw somebody who was taking two little pieces of wood and gluing them together. And I said to him, what they're doing? And they said, match fixing. Sorry, maybe it's a South African thing. So we've got coat and match. So you can picture a coat made out of matches. Or you're wearing this coat made out of matches and you strike the coat and it bursts into flames and everybody feels nice and warm.